Well, good morning, everyone. See if I got through. We're having some issues this morning again, so I'm not sure if it's the weather here or what. But it is Tuesday, April the 8th, 2014, and it is another beautiful day here in Indianapolis. We have, let's see, we're reading at 39 degrees. Woo! Back to some chilly weather, but all's good, and it looks like we are finally out of winter. I did see some possible snow, sleet in the forecast for today or tomorrow, but it looks like it's pretty much all gone. Some rough weather this past couple days in the southeast. I know there's a lot of flooding out there, so be careful. Of course, never drive through flooded roadways because, of course, you don't know what's underneath of those. So, looking forward, other than the atypical earthquake and volcano exploding right now, it looks like we're all in the clear. So, just make sure that you know what's going on around you. Eyes to the sky as always, and we will see what happens in the future. We get rolling here this morning, but this morning I have invited my husband back on because I wanted to talk about couples and preparedness, specifically maybe some hindrances that some people have that maybe we can work through from a male point of view, because you guys listen to me all the time, and it gets a little old, I would imagine. So, one thing that I've noticed over the past few days is, women specifically seem to get caught up in the fact that, sometimes it feels like we're the only ones doing anything when it comes to being prepared in our families. So what can we do in order to offset that? What's going through the male mind? How can we get past it? But, what can we do? So I'm going to take a drink of water real fast here. And my husband is moving our chickens. Yes, we have baby chickens in the living room right now. It's not every day that you come home from work and find out that your wife ordered chickens while you were on vacation in Florida, and they have arrived, and they're sitting in your living room. So I'm going to try and make this work here. But I need to unplug my headphones. So give me 1 second here, and we'll get rolling. All right, try me now. Let's try it now.
Okay.
Hello, hello. No.
And she said no.
What in the world?
Log out, log in, log out, log in.
It's saying I'm connected. There. Let me try and reconnect one more time. Okie dokie. Last time. Oh, now you hear things. Now we don't hear dead people. We have it. Woo! Okay, let's rock and roll. Yeah, we know we're live. We just, it's a little early in the morning, but looks like we finally did it. Yay! So, hey, it is April the 8th, 2014. Again, for like the 5th time this morning. It's like, I'm sure 39 degrees still since the last time I said it. So, nice to be here. And my husband is here with me this morning. So welcome, Eddie.
Good morning, guys.
Back to the show. And yes, you hear peeps in the background. If you remember, when we were in Florida, I did purchase more chickens. It's one of those things you do when you're on vacation, right? And they arrived yesterday. It's funny how half the time the post office can't deliver your mail to you until, of course, you order live peeping chickens. And, they are more than apt to call you at 7 o'clock in the morning to tell you to get your ass down there and pick them up. So they are here with us, and they're actually in another room. They're that loud. So, and I did just take the heat lamp off of them, so they're a little freaking out right now. But it's also a little alarming because we do own a cat who stays in the house with us. And
oh, yeah, she's not happy.
We threw her out in the garage last night to make sure that the peeps were safe while we weren't around trying to sleep. And you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and she's laying at your feet on your bed. So little panic there, but everybody seems to be doing okay. So, anyways, back to the show. Where were we? Yeah, so we were discussing this morning why men don't always get involved in prepping to the degree that their women would like them to. Because I've been talking to some women here recently who are, you read what's going on in the news and you have a tendency to get a little freak out going on and, try and want to push the preparedness aspect of your life a little bit harder. Getting organized, making sure that you have all areas of preparedness covered, making sure that your family is going to be safe. I think it's just the nurturing, nesting aspect that women normally carry. Say those N words too many times in a row. But I've seen a lot of aggravation coming from a lot of my friends when it comes to, husbands, men in general, just have a tendency to just concentrate on one or two areas of preparedness as opposed to the full spectrum. And wanted to get the male opinion, considering the fact that you live with me. So this should be interesting. I might be, throwing myself out there. But what's your opinion on, pushing away? Why don't you like to, what causes you to back off? Or maybe just kind of drown out when we're trying to get prepared?
One of the major factors is being overzealous. Like,
shoving it down his throat when it's something he's not really very interested in. I'm not a gardening person. I don't like being out in the garden. And when we first started with the gardens, having me go out every day, sometimes twice a day to pull weeds, was just not something I wanted to do.
Well, I know that, but, we're doing things that we don't like to do also. And Sharon, who's in the chat room right now, Trailer Park Homesteader, brings up, she must be married to you because she says her husband only likes guns and security type stuff, but could care less about the other essential parts. You were the same way.
Yeah.
So what brought you, that's really how I got you started in doing what we're doing. A lot of the stuff that we're doing, like the canning and all that, I've done all my life. So it's just, picking it back up. And for you, living in Brooklyn, hell, did you even know canners existed?
Canners for me was a place where they put food in a can. It was a cannery. No, but seriously, and I would still feel personally, I still feel like that. You're lucky if you get me out there with the garden maybe, twice a week to go out weeding. That's just not something I really enjoy, and I honestly don't care about. You know me, I'm quite the opposite from a vegetarian. If I could just hunt meat and eat meat alone, I'd be happy. So, the canning aspect and the gardening aspect, it can be a little boring, and that's probably your biggest problem. If it's boring, nobody wants to do it. So you got to do like you did with us and the kids, the way you make the kids want to start the firewood. You make jokes and you make it fun. You make it exciting for them. If it's not going to, if it's going to be boring and people are going to be bickering the whole time, they're not going to want to do it. So if you make it fun and exciting, they're going to get into it.
Sorry, I'm typing in the chat room. They're distracting me again. But, well, I could see that. But the sucky part is that, where men leave off, women seem to have to pick up and finish it off, which, creates quite a lot of tension within a household, within a marriage. And we've been there. We've done that. Had multiple
discussions,
if you want to call them that, over, the equality of distributing all of the tasks that need done. So, it's always a good thing to have communication in a marriage. Unfortunately, they don't teach that in public school anymore, or ever did. So it's something that you have to either learn the hard way or, move on from, because I've known of multiple families where, women and men and both sides of it probably get aggravated, because they feel like the other one does not pick up their fair share of things. Morning, JJ. Sharon. We'll give everybody a shout out in the chat room here.
Sharon, Wendy.
Now that things are calming down. But yeah, Lady Pitbull, Wendy, good morning. Sharon, Trailer Park Homesteader, JJ. You guys are awesome. It's awfully early to be awake this early in the morning, but greatly appreciated. But so you think just being too overzealous?
That can be one big one. The other one is if you take a task where the person is not interested at all and you overwhelm them with it, they will shut down on you and be like, forget this. I'm not something I wanted to do anyway. What the hell am I feel like I'm doing all the work? So,
But that's not fair because somebody has to pick it up whether we want to or not.
Yeah.
We still do it.
Right. But when somebody, especially if it's not something that they wanted to do, and they feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on them to do something they don't like or didn't care about, they're not going to care about it and they're not going to do it.
That's not true, though. The point I'm making, though, is that even if you don't want to do it, somebody has to, whether I want to or not. And it might be an aspect of preparedness that I necessarily don't even care about. say like guns. A lot of times in a preparedness couple, the female is not that much into firearms. You know, that's what the guy picks up. But he becomes so overwhelming with it. Yeah, that totally didn't work out in my advantage, did it?
Yeah, he becomes so overwhelming with it, it shuts the woman off completely. It's the same thing with the gardening and the canning and like here.
I'm trying to think of an area of preparedness that I don't like, and it's hard for me because, yeah, so there isn't really an area that I dislike that much. So it's hard for me to go there. But medical.
What about medical?
Well, a lot of people don't like the sight of blood.
Well, have them butcher animals for a bit.
Well, so say the husband doesn't, or the main prepper in the family doesn't like medical.
See, Hector's right there. He's got it. You got to ease him into it, because if you overwhelm him, they're not going to want to do it. But okay, back to you.
Well, and I get that point. I totally get that point. But my point is that somebody's got to do it.
Right. Somebody does have to do it. And if you don't ease the person into it and you overwhelm them, that person that you want to help with it is not going to help you, and you're going to get stuck with the task by yourself.
But what happens if the guy doesn't want to do it at all, and it still falls on the female to do it? I mean, somebody has to do it, whether they want to do it or not.
It's got to get done.
Somebody has to suck it up, pull their balls up.
Or tighten their panties.
I move my balls to my chest so that way they don't rub together so much.
Or hitch up your granny panties and, get it done.
But my point is that right there should be open for discussion.
It is open for discussion, but you can't force somebody to use something they don't want.
Then should you just equally divide out the less glamorous aspects of prepping?
If the other parties involved are committed to your prepping, yes. However, the problem is that if you start throwing stuff at them that they're like, oh no, that's like taking a squeamish person and saying, okay, you're going to butcher all the rabbits and chickens this summer because you don't want them to be squeamish. They're going to do the worst job you've ever had, and they're going to do it either, whether they do it intentionally or not, they're going to do a crappy job of it, because then the next time you're going to think, well, I can't have him do that. He did it so badly the last time that he ruined half the meat.
This is like living with people in my secular job.
Yeah, it's exactly like dealing with...
I don't understand that mentality because I don't act like that. So it must be a New York thing?
No, it's a liberal thing.
So you're liberal?
No, but growing up in a liberal state with everybody who had that liberal frame of mind, and not knowing what you are or, what you're surrounded by until you get older kind of sucks, and you get stuck that way. And prison sex, that's definitely it. They need motivation. So, but you get stuck with that mentality, and it's a union mentality. It's a liberal mentality. They'll think, well, you know what? Forget this. It's not my job.
Okay, but when do we stop? When do we just say, hey, you know what? You're a grown adult. You can get any kind of knowledge you want to. You've seen both sides of it. There's no excuse for your behavior anymore.
Well, that goes back to the old saying, you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. You gotta coerce them. And, Sharon there for she's got it. She's using, prison sex or motivation, right? But
wait, prison sex is not motivation in my book.
You know what? It's part of...
That's not motivation. She typed out McLovin.
Some McLovin, okay. No, but I use the prison sex as motivation.
Really? We never talked about that in our relationship before.
No, but the whole sex for barter thing. You gotta coerce them. You can't just say, okay, that's it, you're doing this and it's getting done, because, alright, say you do get your spouse to do it. Your spouse is gonna do the crappiest job ever, and it's not gonna get done. And whatever it is, say it's canning, the food's gonna spoil because he didn't do a good job of it. Say it's gardening.
But then his ass is done for because it's for his
Okay, his ass
future.
is going to be done for how? You're going to divorce him because he doesn't want to do the gardening?
No, but if he doesn't can correctly in the future when he needs it in the middle of winter time, he's not going to have anything to eat.
She was responding to JJ. Okay, no, but that's the point of it. If they don't want to do it and you force them to do it, when it comes to brass tacks and all of a sudden you need that stuff and it's no good, it's because you forced somebody who didn't want to do it and you're suffering the repercussions.
So same thing in a community when you're building your community. Only let people gravitate to the stuff that they like.
Yeah, and then give them a secondary job that they like, maybe not as much, but they can deal with and they know how to do. Because that's why you get that union mentality. You get people in jobs, they don't like the job, but they're doing the job because they need the paycheck. So they're a slave to their job, but they do the crappiest job in the world.
Oh, I don't hang with those kind of people.
What do you mean you don't hang with them? You work with bunches of them. And you deal with those all night long with phone calls.
Actually, no, we replace them.
Yeah.
We find people that actually want to do their jobs.
Right, but you still, every night, no matter how many you replace, you still come across the same ones over and over and over again.
Yeah, they're out there, but
constant circle.
When you employ hundreds of people, you're going to have that.
Exactly, but the same thing.
But now you get to pick and choose. But now you get to pick and choose who's going to be in your group. You don't have to have people in your group with that mentality. I never had that mentality. No matter what job I have to do.
JJ's messed up.
Whatever.
No, bad meat in the can.
Stop with the prison talk. Yeah, exactly, JJ. Anyways, I don't have that mentality. I understand there are people out there like that. I try and gravitate away from them, but I've never done that. I've always done the best that I can do no matter what I was doing. If I was mopping the frickin' floor, it was the best damn mop job you've ever seen. I got the corners, I got everything. Around the pole legs, you name it.
Move the furniture.
Yeah.
Well, I know that.
But I'm proud of myself. I take pride in my work ethics and stuff. So, my prepping group that I put together is going to have that mentality too.
You hope.
Or they won't be in my group. End of story.
You hope.
I hope.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't hope.
You hope. Because sometimes you think what you think. It's like...
You don't think you can figure these people out beforehand?
Well, you know what? A lot of people get fooled. Why do you think people get divorced? Because they couldn't figure out the person they married beforehand.
Like a nookie?
Well, no, that goes back to they couldn't figure out the person before they got married. I'm almost prep. If you do not figure out, it is hard. You're not going to figure out everybody all of the time. People are really good about hiding their true selves in order to be accepted into other groups.
I don't know. I think if you set your group up right and everybody knows each other, they know their weaknesses and strengths, they have their talents and all of that laid out there. They know what the group needs. They know what the future lies. They know what they need to do. Everybody can help each other out. One aspect of putting a community together that a lot of people neglect, in my opinion, is they'll bring them together. And everybody one's a doctor, one is good with firearms, one is good with food prep, everybody has their special talents and they keep to themselves because now they feel empowered because now, they're special. And that could be detrimental. That will be detrimental to your group in the long run. You each need to share, and spread that knowledge around so that everybody in the group has a little bit of something. Because if, heaven forbid, the doctor in the group gets killed or dies for some reason, then all of the knowledge that he had or she had is now gone. So, I totally disagree with your mindset. I think that you would know beforehand whether these people are that liberal-minded, if you want to call it that.
Right. Well, if you get it's like the union mentality. What was the name of that? The little red hen that wanted to bake a cake in the farm, and then at the very end, they changed the story. But at the end, the little red hen had to share that cake with everybody who did not help her. And I believe, as in the movie we saw the other day, you make the sacrifices now to prep, and then when it comes down to it and shit hits the fan, you're going to wind up making sacrifices all over again, whether you want to or not, and you're going to have to sacrifice and accept other people into your group. You know, whether they contributed to it or not, it's just going to be a matter of them contributing from that point on.
I'm not sure whose house you think you live in.
No, I saw that. We watched that movie the other day, and we agreed about that.
Oh, yeah, we did see Goodbye World the other day, guys.
Oh, wow.
It was interesting.
It made you want to pull your hair out.
I will buy the movie. I think it comes out in June. But yeah, it was quite an aggravating movie. And, you know, you saw a different mindset of people that, in the end, when it was over with, you know they're going to be out there, and you need to be prepared for them. So if you get a chance, watch it. And we will have the several, not just the director, but several people from Goodbye World on the show in 2 weeks, on the 15th. Or no, that's next week. Oh my goodness, it's already next week.
Yep.
So we're going to have them back on after Watch the Show. And then in May, they're coming to Indianapolis. The director actually lives here. Or doesn't live here. It's his home state. So he's coming back, and we're going to get together. But interesting movie.
Yeah.
Sharon in Trailer Park Homesteader brought up that she would have slapped the little narc girl. I think I would have taken it a step further than that. And, you know, there's, you know, watching the movie, there were some parts of it that, you know, I'm like, and you hate to go there, because I was thinking about it after our last After Dark show. How far do you push?
We were playing conflicted through the movie.
Yeah, it was a bad case of conflicted through the movie. But you have to ask yourself sometimes, how far would you push yourself? You know, one aspect of survival is to put yourself in different situations. And that's why we play conflicted and get that mindset going. But I was flipping through some stuff, going down some rabbit trails this past week. And, you know, a friend of ours that we take training from occasionally, Shaya Mindset Lab, said, you know, he sits there and he watches videos of, you know, people getting shot and stuff because he learns from that. You know, and I hit some videos that, you know, car accidents and, you know, medical related stuff. And it's like, it was pretty grotesque, but quite honestly, I've never seen, the aftermath of a horrendous car crash.
Oh, really?
Never.
Okay.
Or, you know, people laying there mangled or whatever. And I know it's pre-breakfast going on, but,
well, people have coffee, they're fine.
Coffee controls the world.
It does. They're fine.
But how far do you push yourself sometimes to desensitize yourself to the possibilities that are coming up? It could lead for some pretty sleepless nights sometimes, but I think it's important, and I think people need to think about it. You know, do you want to get through the shock factor now of seeing a body laying there mangled, or that's been shot, or do you want to have to deal with that in the heat of a downgrade situation? Personally, I'd rather do it now in a controlled environment, more so than afterwards.
Okay, I'm going to go with Mom with her pet, or with her kids, because we're going to go see Winter Soldier while, you know, the women do whatever.
Winter Soldier?
Yeah, Captain America.
Oh.
So, that's all.
But you have to, I think it's definitely something that you need to think about. And if you can, see the movie, because it's probably going to leave you a little pissed off. I know we spent some time, you know, not that it does any good, but yelling at the television set because of the actions of even, you know, quite a few people in the movie, actually. But it's reality. There's people like that out there. And yeah, Sharon brings up the fact that how many preppers she's met lately. and more people are paying attention. I definitely agree with that. And it seems like people are reaching out, trying to figure it out. You know, they're trying to, okay, they know they need to get prepared, but they're trying to dig into and look for people out there to lead them in the right direction. So I know a lot of guys on the page are looking for, because they have the freak out factor going on. If you know, I've seen it so many times, you start going down those rabbit trails and you wake up to what's going on out in the world. You know, you realize that, you know, our government might not be as glorious as we've always thought it was in the past. And, you know, it smacks you right between the eyes. And it's like, oh, holy hell, you know, what the hell's going on here? And, you know, one thing leads to another. And before you know it, you know, you're ready to run and hide from the world, because it's quite spooky when you open up that door. And a lot of people were there. And a lot of people are asking questions. And a lot of people need directed in the right direction. And so I know we've got some great preparedness people in the chat room right now that are seeing people, you know, reach out. And I think it's important that, you know, we're there and we open up. I know OPSEC is a huge thing. Can you have OPSEC without showing your full hand? 100% agree. We've talked about that before. You know, when you're standing in the grocery store before a blizzard and you're talking to people, you know, just start talking about what's in the news. Hey, did you see this was going on? Or, hey, did you see this, that was going on? You know, what do you think about that? You know, start asking them their thoughts on it. And then start throwing in some, you know, preparedness things. But like, you know, maybe instead of these potato chips, maybe I'll go back and get some, you know, Spam or something. Something that's canned. Not that Spam is good for you. You know, something that's going to last a lot longer than maybe the frozen pizza that I have in my car right now. You know, maybe I should pick up a little bit of extra water. You know, how much water do you think I need? You know, open those kind of conversations up. You know, you don't have to talk about what you have. You know, they don't know you from Adam. But it starts those conversations and starts people thinking. And I think we need to do more of that, definitely, out there.
Just tell them you tripped over the FEMA site and said, hey, FEMA said that I have to have this. What do you think about that? Do you really think we need to have 3 days worth of food?
Are you blaming this on the government?
No, but you can. If you think about it and use them as an entryway. So you're not telling them how much you have or what you have, whether you have a year's worth of food or not. But at the same time, you're telling them, you know, it could be somebody you like, and you're like, you know, I came across this FEMA site, and they said that we needed to have 3 days worth of food and 3 days worth of water, so in case of anything, they could get to us. And then listen to their response and gauge it for yourself. And then if they say anything, you still don't tell them what you have, but you say, you know, I think that'd be a great idea. What if we go out together and we start prepping together? They don't have to know, again, they don't have to know how much you have, but you can go with them and with, you know, say, you know, on a shoestring budget and start your preps with them together, and you're helping them prep. They think that you're doing it with them, or you are actually, but not as much to the extent that you normally do. And you make them feel good about it, and you both, you know, and worst comes to worst, you use that little bit of prep that you're doing with them, and build those go-away boxes that one of those guys had told us about. You know, for people that come to visit his house when shit hits the fan, he's like, well, you know what? I don't know you.
Oh, the 5-gallon bucket thing?
Yeah, the 5-gallon bucket full of water and food. He calls it a go-away box.
Yeah, the go-away box. You know, I understand the premise behind that, but my huge concern with that would be once you give out one, then he's going to go tell 2 friends, and he's going to go tell friends, and he's going to go tell 2 friends, and before you know it, you're going to be giving out
like
go-away buckets.
Commercial?
Yeah, go-away buckets to everybody in the neighborhood, because guess what? Everybody now knows that you have stuff. And that question was brought up too recently, you know, when it comes to bartering. Be very, very, very careful
what you barter.
Well, not only what you barter, but who you let know has what. You don't want to be known as the person with all the shampoo in town, because on all your trips, on all your vacations, you took all the little shampoo bottles while you were staying at hotels. You know, it's a great barter item. So don't get me wrong. Those in the little packs of coffee and, you know, sugar and salt and all that. But when it comes right down to it, do you want people to know that you have all that stuff? That you're the person that's looking for things? That you have all of this to offer to trade? I personally would not.
Well, there are some things that, you know, well, the shampoo, yeah, it's a mood item. But when it comes to ammunition and alcohol and medicine, those three things, ammunition, alcohol, and medicine, I would never, ever barter ammunition unless it was the last resort.
I would agree with that one.
Medicine, again, same thing, and alcohol. Alcohol, if I bartered, would be sparing amounts because you don't want a bunch of people getting rip-roaring drunk and then coming back and trying to take the rest of the alcohol because it's just going to start. So I would, at the very most, I would maybe trade away a pint for something that I really needed. And even then it would be medicinal. Air quote here, medicinal.
Well, another thing that you can think about is maybe using a third party, you know, to barter through. I'm sure that would be a new hot job when a downgrade situation is to be that go-to person that can find everything. Whether they have it or not, they know people, and they're going to keep quiet.
No, because there's one thing that's proven: torture will make anybody talk, whether you want to or not.
It will, but he's going to be a hot commodity.
Yeah,
so
he's going to be a hot commodity until the right guy finds him, the right girl. And then they're just going to take him out. They're going to beat the crap out of him until he talks and tell them it's over at Lori's house, over in the corner, this and that. And then they're going to be over at the door, you know, pounding your door down, saying, this guy said it was here. And I don't care how bad you say you didn't. They're going to smash the door in and they're going to go through your house and they're going to take everything you've got.
The girls are making fun of me in the chat room with my shampoo comments. And you don't understand how important shampoo is to me. Like, you don't talk to me in the morning, or heaven forbid you touch my hair in the morning before I take a shower, because I will harm you. There is nothing worse than a pissed off, non-showered,
grungy
woman in the morning. I don't know how,
crusty.
No, not crusty. How people take showers at night before they go to bed and then not in the morning is beyond me. But it concerned me. It was probably the biggest thing that I worried about in a downgrade situation is how I was going to get a shower in the morning. Give me a shower and I'll control the world. But, yeah, if not, back away because you don't want to mess. It's, you know, I understand that thing that people have with coffee. I don't drink coffee, personally. I don't need to. But I can understand that mentality of don't talk to me before I've had, you know, how Joel's is. Don't talk to me before I've had a cup of coffee. To the point that I've changed my hairstyle over the last 2 years, trying to figure it out. I went to stay with a friend of mine up in northern Indiana, and she gave me a can of...
it was up in Shitshawana. She hates when I call it that, by the way.
It was a can of that dry shampoo stuff that you spray in your hair, and I couldn't do it. And, you know, it's, I don't know. I have extremely oily skin, and, you know, I've had bangs all of my life, so I don't know if that had to do with it. But I've let my bangs grow out, and my hair is now pretty much more than halfway down my back. But I've noticed that, you know, and I know this is weird, the guys are out there rolling their eyes and all that, but I can function a lot better and not harm people in the mornings like I used to, because I don't know, the length of my hair has actually changed that, and it's kind of bizarre. So, yeah, I'm just sharing that with you. You know, it is, you know, it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning yet, and most of you people haven't had coffee, and some of you guys live in a different time zone, so... yay that you're up in the morning. So I think that's awesome.
It's funny.
And we don't have to be so serious all the time.
It is funny because there's a little thing where Connor, our son, will come up, and if he knows that Mom has not gotten her shower yet, he'll sneak up behind her and touch her hair and run like crazy.
He's all shit.
Because he knows the wrath is coming.
And then he'll scream as he's running away, I touched your hair! I touched your hair! I touched your hair!
So yeah, we make a game of it with Lori sometimes, depending on the mood. Because sometimes it's like poking an angry bear. You just don't do it.
Yeah, so I'm abused, just so you people understand out there. So I'm looking for a new family that will not abuse me, that will take care of me.
I think Sharon said she'll take it.
Sharon will take me?
Yeah.
It's 7:45 there.
Yeah, so... yeah, back to the getting your husband in. My suggestion would be...
Give up the sex more often?
Yes. Well,
Wait,
that would help.
Think about that before you answer.
No, I will not think. That's an automatic reaction for any man. Any man would
give
be
up
like,
the booty.
Yes, I will trade you labor for booty. So, but if you're coming in, if you're coming in, and it's baby steps. You know, you got to get them. You got to ease them in, and don't overwhelm them. You know, it's the same thing with women. I teach when I have a guy that comes in and says, "Well, my girlfriend or my wife, she hates shooting. She won't go shooting, but I want her to go shooting with me." I said, "Well, here's what you do. You make a deal with her. Make a bet. Hey, come to the shooting range with me, and I'll do the dishes."
And you know how hot it is to see the man standing there doing dishes?
And that usually works. They'll go to the range with you, especially if they know you're going to get them.
No, that's not fair, because then the guy gets twice, because his wife goes to the range with him. She watches him do the dishes, which gets her all hot and bothered. So then he gets laid on top of that.
So, I don't see a problem with this. Especially if she's reciprocating. No. Here, perfect example. 2 years ago, I had a gentleman that his wife would not shoot. She did not want to shoot. She did not care anything about it. But he wanted her to learn how to shoot for her own protection. So, and I'm almost there, and when I get there, Lori's going to freak out and say, "That's right. This woman did not want to shoot." So what he did, and I found this out because he and I had this conversation, was he made a deal with her. He said, "If we do the shooting class at our home, I will go ballroom dance. I will take ballroom dance lessons with you." So, you remember this woman, right? When we taught the class, there were 20 people in that class. And she was the most obstinate student we had. She wound up being the second best shot in the class, too. And she was all excited. Now, here's the thing. I talked to the guy about 6 months ago. And I said, "How'd the ballroom dance lessons go?" He goes, "Shh, she forgot all about it."
A manipulative little bastard.
So he told me not to remind her because she forgot all about the ballroom dance lesson. So, you know, you know, I'm not saying to renege on your deal or your promise. I'm just saying that, you know, you don't have to do it right away sometimes, unless you set a time frame in your agreement. Because Lori does that. Lori does that to me all the time. You know, she goes, "Yeah, we'll do that after bid." After a bid. And that's code word for, yeah, that's code word for, yeah, I get to it when I feel like it, motherfucker. Yeah, so.
It's a country term. It's like down yonder.
Yeah, after bid could mean in 2 minutes or it can be in 2 years. It depends when she gets, it's like round to it. When I get round to it. So, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to take it from you. Go for it.
No, that's okay. You're kind of funny.
Yeah, I'm not. You're the one.
But one of the questions in the chat room, I think Sharon asked, was, would I cut my hair if there was a downgrade situation for security reasons? Oh, hell no. I have clippies and shit. Now, I'll just wrap that sucker up and tuck it under whatever. My aunt, one of the only, actually probably last living relatives I have, because everybody else is gone, my dad's sister, my aunt Amy, her hair is down to the floor. And occasionally she'll trim it back up a little bit, but
she trims it to right about I think the last time was the back of her knees.
But I've seen her where it's just drug across the floor, and it's funny. I think of her as the crazy lady with the long hair and the rabbits and stuff, and
everybody called her Granny.
Yeah, I'm gonna end up being that crazy woman with the long hair that lives in the house and the hut in the woods, and I have all my medicinal medicines and
42 chickens,
heads in jars, and
7 dogs.
All of my animals and stuff. But that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You know. Hopefully Eddie will still be with me.
I'll be dead. You probably killed me by then.
If I haven't killed you the last 18 years, it ain't gonna happen now. I think, hopefully, I've gotten most of that New York attitude beat out of your ass.
Drag me into an early grave. Yeah.
But, it might not work for everybody, but that's pretty much how we've tried to work out things, is compromise. Find out where your strengths are at in each other. And, you take it from there. But there's still aspects of prepping that nobody likes to do. Nobody wants to do.
And you're going to feel slighted sometimes. You're going to feel like, why am I the only one doing this? Why won't they help? You know what? And like my wife loves to say, suck it up, buttercup. Because if you want it done right, you got to get it done yourself.
And,
you might
in the
get
future,
some help, but
in the future, they will help you.
Yeah.
Once, they actually realize that they do need to do that. So even though you might be prepping alone right now, I have a very strong feeling that in the very near future that you're not going to be as alone as you are now. So, a lot of us hang out together, a lot of us talk, a lot of us blow off steam together. If you need to do that, hop on any of our pages, where we're here for each other right now when nobody else is. And, once you get to know a lot of the people in the prepping world, and yes, there are some kooky ones out there, but those of us that hang out on a regular basis, like Sharon from Trailer Park Homesteader and Mom from Mom with the Prep,
Wendy,
yeah, Lady Pitbull, Hatsy, Jimmy. We're just normal people trying to survive. We just woke up before everybody else, and we're screaming as loud as we can to try and save as many people and get as many people as possible to wake up. But we figured it out maybe before everybody else. We're nobody special. Okay, maybe some of us are, but
thank you, dear. Appreciate that compliment.
My special Ed.
Or you can call him Dick Ed or Shit Ed. Yeah, so okay. Good. Sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you again.
But especially, I'm preaching to the choir here. Hey Jimmy. Good morning. Yeah, none of us are normal. But we're here for each other. And I think that's important. And a lot of people that I know have their hearts in the right place. They're not like that douchebag out in, I think he was in Oregon or Washington, that was going to go and rob all of the preppers out there that are preparing. The Marauder, or whatever his name was. You're going to have those people in any aspect of your life. I think that's why it's important that you get to know each other now, before you're forced to get to know each other later.
Think about it as a marriage. Go on you're going to have to do camping trips with these people too. The best way to learn about somebody is to be around them in sort of a stressful situation and watch. Do what we do. Be a people watcher. We have fun with it, but at the same time, you learn their quirks and you wonder, do I really want to be around this person in the real scenario where it's stressful? And, yeah, goes to Jimmy. Who pinched your... Yeah, that was me, sorry. I do that a lot when we take group hugs. In pictures. So, just, what was it? Be very mindful of the people you're letting into your group and be very aware of their, their mannerisms and their attitude.
and piss them off.
Yeah. Get
Just
into discussions. Get into fighting
place them
discussions.
conflicted. We had a guy, I'm going to say this, we had a guy that we were contemplating putting in our group. You know, he was from out of state and whatnot. We've known him for a little while. And, I said something that really pissed him off, something about having sex with sheep or something like that. And it really pissed him off. And you get to see, you know, I always say you never really know someone until you divorce them. Everybody has that other side to them. And it's better to find out now than later. And, you know, it sounds kind of sick and twisted, but, you know, find out what they're like when they're angry.
Yeah.
And that way you can make the determination now if you need to just step away. You know, there are people in your group. Do you let them know everything that you have? I would say no. And that's my opinion and nobody else's. But, you know, they're people that are with, think of it as layers of an onion. You know, you have your inner core. That's your immediate family. Your husband, your spouse. You know, they're the only ones that really know everything that you have prepping. And then you go out to your closest friends. Do they know everything? I wouldn't go that far. You know, there are some things that other people just don't need to know. And then you peel down those layers as you go out. But I think it's important that, personally, that you know the limits of your group beforehand. And I don't have a problem with finding out their true intentions, finding out how far you can push them beforehand. You know, Jimmy brings up a good point. Would you take a bullet for somebody in your group? If your answer is no, then they probably don't need to be in your group.
I want every of those people in my group because they're all jumping in front of me for bullets. So I have 6 guys to stop 1 bullet. But, you know, spend a weekend with them, do camping trips, do get-togethers. And the reason why is because you start to figure out who people are, and you start realizing, I really don't think I could get along with this person in this shit hit the fan scenario. If it was an extended period of time, and then you start thinking about that, and that would make you wonder, do I really want to be in the group with these people? You know, especially if they're not of like mind. If, you know...
Well, no, because usually those people gravitate towards you anyways. So you're like-minded, but, man, sometimes...
you know, you could
personalities are out there.
Yeah, you can be prepper-minded and your personalities completely clash. You know...
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, that's... Okay. You got me. So, yeah, but that's... Look at those people. You don't want to be around them if
I personally would like to get everybody together from UCY.TV.
Oh boy, that's going to be interesting.
For a weekend, just to...
Are you bringing the whale guy too?
The whale guy?
Yeah, the guy that does a silly whale show on Tuesday nights.
No, I don't know where he's at here.
Okay.
I'll ask him for you.
Well, we'll bring him by the fire so he can put the rest of us to
calm.
sleep.
Yeah. He's there to
nap time.
You know, he's got a lot of good information, but yeah, he can keep everybody.
Those whales,
calm.
The whale sounds put me to sleep.
Yeah, Sharon said, camping trips, prison sex, and pissing them off, the new PC training manual. Hey, you know what we gotta do in order to make it work. So, I do not have any idea. Oh, the song is on.